that it doesn't take a majority, doesn't take many, for massive evil to take place. The minority Bolsheviks ended up taking 20 to 40 million people's lives, crushing the life of the rest of the population of the Soviet Union. You know, the ability of people to grasp evil is minimal. Famous quote attributed to Stalin: "One death is a tragedy, a million deaths is a statistic." Whether he said it or not, that's what he lived. We have a video coming out in a couple of weeks on Stalin at PragerU. We have a whole rogues gallery of the great evildoers. Mao, do we have a Hitler one?
Yeah.
Mao, Hitler, Stalin, Lenin, Pol Pot, Castro. So they're all communists except for Hitler, who was a socialist. Right. National Socialism is what Nazism was about. To say that most people learn nothing from history is as accurate as saying that gravity causes an apple to fall from a tree once it's loosened from its branch. Let's be precise. I have this theological view of God having Groundhog Day every day. It's just the world repeats its errors, calling good evil and evil good. The scummy kids at these campuses and the weaklings of college presidents, they're weaklings. They've been all of my life weaklings. There have been exceptions. You know who was an exception? One of the presidents of Harvard, Larry Summers. He was an exception, and he got fired for it. Remember that?
Yeah.
Larry Summers was president of Harvard, and he said that perhaps there's something innate in men and women that provides one of the explanations, not the only, but one of the explanations for why there's so many fewer women in physics, let's say, or in astronomy. And he was fired for even suggesting that there's a male-female difference in anything, let alone in aptitude for a certain science. Like, does that mean men are superior? I mean, does anybody even think that way? More people think women are superior, particularly stupid thought, just as the other one is. It's women who are ruining our elementary schools. Overwhelmingly, they're the teachers. They're the supporters of Drag Queen Story Hour. These kids on these campuses, the Hitler Youth as I call them, they're tolerated by the universities. It has nothing to do with free speech. I'm a virtual absolutist on free speech. I didn't even agree with passing that anti-Semitism definition law. That's how much I am for free speech. I am for defining anti-Semitism. That's all bad things should be defined. And by the way, just for the record, as I've noted for all of my life, if the only country on the face of the earth you feel has no right to exist is the one Jewish country on the face of the earth, you are an enemy of the Jewish people just as much as a Nazi was. Okay? I mean, whether you personally hate every Jew living is irrelevant. Every state has a right to exist except the one Jewish one. Oh, what are you, pro-Jewish? God, the lies that we have to bathe in. The ability of a handful to do staggering evil. So I was saying people don't fully comprehend When I say to you that the communists in Russia killed 20 to 40 million people, and this is not a criticism of anybody listening, but if you're having a tuna melt while or a grilled cheese sandwich while listening to me, you'll continue having a grilled cheese sandwich. Just right? People, I would too. I do too. I'm consumed with the issue of evil, but there is a turn-off point in the human being, maybe created by nature or by God or whatever. But there are numbers. Look, do you know? Forgetting even evil. Do you know what $1 trillion is? Of course not. It's 1,000 billion. You know what 1,000 billion is? But not only were the people murdered by the communists. This is the point that I was getting at earlier. The wrecked lives of hundreds of millions in the Soviet Union and elsewhere. See, if you weren't murdered by the communists in Russia between, let's say, 1924 when Lenin died, well, even from before that, because there's a Russian Civil War, but anyway, let's just say even 1930 to 1950. If you weren't killed or murdered, it's not like you led a decent life. You had no rights. You were nothing. You were really a slave. It's an interesting but not insignificant question. It in no way does it minimize the evil of slavery to ask the question, who had more rights, a slave in the United States or a citizen of Stalin's Soviet Union? I don't know the answer, but it's not an unworthy question. After all, a slave was able to practice his religion or her religion in many cases, not in all. And that was not true for a Soviet citizen. Again, my point is not to minimize slavery. It's to show that even with the evil of slavery, look at what the average Soviet citizen endured. The ones that weren't slaughtered. So please understand that these kids taking over universities can achieve great evil because people don't oppose evil. Or when they do, when it's way, way late, too late. It is astonishing that there is opposition to police clearing out campuses. It is astonishing. Those people are the people who oppose the police coming into campuses to clear the campus are as engaged in evil as the students themselves, as those who took over the campus. The police should not be clearing out the university. Who was just canceled? Was it Columbia that canceled its graduation, Sarah? Was it Columbia?
Yeah.
It's astonishing. You see how much damage a small number can do? Here's another puzzle. I opened up by asking, what does the average American think? What does the average American think of Columbia University now, or Harvard University? I don't have an answer to that. I don't think the applications have diminished. I know what they say at Harvard, the early admissions applications went down by 10%. Big deal.
I have a good story about what employers are thinking about.
Oh, good. Did you put it up?
Yes, you have.
You mean today?
Yeah.
My producer is telling me that we have a good story about what employers are thinking. Employers getting wary of hiring Ivy Leaguers. Wow. Where is this from? College Fix? Wow. Employers more skeptical of hiring Ivy League grads, survey finds. Hallelujah! See, sometimes it's good news. An Ivy League diploma is losing its worth in many employers' eyes. That's correct. If I know you went to Columbia, I don't assume that you have any depth, and you might be a truly bad human being. For the full episode of the Dennis Prager Show, go to pragertopia.com, sign up, and become a full member.